What's going on, Packer Nation? We are doing something a little bit different here tonight because I heard all about how, I guess, X is outpacing every other social media platform in terms of engagement, including YouTube. So we're putting that to the test. Got some X questions rolling in here. That's Twitter for any of you boomers who wandered in here. And we're going to answer some questions. We're going to see if the YouTube chat can keep up with the X chat. Got a nice, healthy stream of people coming in tonight already.
Hilariously, the way that works is you'll have 500 people from X watching and 14 on YouTube, and all the comments will come from YouTube. Nobody on X will comment.
Now, why would that be, Ryan?
Because they're all robots and they're fake. And if you're not, you can prove me wrong by leaving a comment. Otherwise, I don't believe it.
I don't buy it.
I also have here in my office, I have a flock of baby chicks that are peeping, and they're pretty cute. And I might have to put them on stream here, especially if people are feeling like donating to the stream. I might have to get some chicks on the stream in as a reward for donations.
Tool for this. Make sure you clarify though what exactly you mean when you're saying, "Hey, pay some money and we'll put some chicks on the stream." Don't want to mislead people.
It's not that kind of stream. Not tonight. Tool for this. No MySpace stream, eh? I got to check, actually. If you go to myspace.com right now, what currently comes up? Because I know it's been a few things over the years. It's still some sort of like Spotify competitor. And the images don't load on it. Packers Kingdom says, I still will take a shot at Tyler Nubin. Forget that RAS score. Check the film. Jake, can you tell us, where do you have Tyler Nubin in this class of safeties?
Number one, but to this comment, you may still take the shot on Tyler Nubin. First 3 rounds, the Packers will not be taking a shot on Tyler Nubin with that score, injured or not. If you're injured and you're putting that sort of time, those sort of numbers out there, don't test if you're hurt. If there was any risk of putting those numbers out there, no reason to even bother. So he did what he did. I don't. There's not much else to say.
Get this
in terms of a Packer specific talk about Tyler Nubin. So
the top 2 consensus safeties in this class, Tyler Nubin and Cam Kinchens, have a combined RAS of 5.73.
Is that good?
You got to get down to the
safety class.
The 5th safety is the first guy with like a really actually great RAS at 8.94.
I don't even know what the consensus board has.
That would be Jaden Hicks. So Javon Bullard has an 8.16, which is totally nothing to sneeze at all. And then Cole Bishop rings in at 9.87, which I think might be the most athletic safety in this class. So, tool for this says Lad McConkey at 25. Maybe.
Or a better version of him in like the 3rd round.
Who?
Ricky Pearsall.
Oh, yeah. Ricky Pearsall has been catching people's attention. So has Cole Bishop, by the way.
It's true.
Utah safety Cole Bishop with like room temperature PFF grades. Hyper athletic. But I'm seeing everybody on social media hyping up his film as being amazing.
Well, I think that's because Jim Nagy just said, well, he's going the 2nd. So now everybody's like, well, I got to jump on that train.
Well, I know Bob McGinn had him in the top 55. We do have some questions here from X. Joe at work 87. Would the Packers be better off drafting a safety who specializes in single high or a safety who can serve as a second chess piece?
I don't see that comment, JJ.
This is
from earlier.
This is from earlier.
He put
right.
he put
so
some stuff out
I'm
there.
just saying, if we're doing this thing where we want to see where the comment section is, that one doesn't count.
No, that's not a people from
No.
Twitter actually showed up. This was like JJ posted this about what 6 hours
that's
ago?
all right. Not
8 hours ago.
Not counting that.
Okay. Well, are we refusing to answer it too?
No, you can answer it. I'm just making sure that we're clear that we're not debunking my bots theory.
No,
because
your bots theory is
of some
very
posts
sound.
you put. All right,
Your bots theory is very sound. There's no
got it, nailed it.
You will find nobody who is a co-host on this stream who is trying to debunk your bots theory. You will find co-hosts on this stream who are trying to create content for us to talk about.
You brought it up. I'm just trying to stick to what you said we were doing at the top of the show here.
I mean, I think it's probably a pretty safe bet that the bots on X don't know enough about the Packers specific situation to toss us any great questions.
So
here we go.
Just before you get to it, 1, 2, 3,
Nicki Minaj.
4-1 is the actual. And who is that?
I don't. That looks like
know.
Nicki Minaj.
Looks like a bot.
Actually,
I'm very interested in Justin Simmons.
I don't really want to pin it, but I don't really. Your profile picture, I don't want to pin on the screen, but I'll just read it. Heard anything about Justin Simmons to Green Bay? I heard Quandre Diggs say that he and Justin Simmons are not even getting offers, which I can believe. So that was kind of entertaining. I haven't heard anything about that. There's another safety who has been linked to Green Bay, but that's completely made up. It's not no basis in reality. That would be Micah Hyde. The Micah Hyde rumor is not based on anything real.
If we didn't want Micah Hyde when he was really good and really young, we probably don't want him right now.
Probably true.
I imagine not.
I don't know what this Big Boys lottery tickets is.
Oh, thank you, Zach.
Big Boys lottery tickets.
800 million and 1.1 billion are what the lotteries are at right now. So he went out and bought some lottery tickets.
Nice. Is he gonna split with you if he wins?
I don't know. Zach, what's my cut on that? Just curious.
Donald says if we're going just based off film, I like Kinchins over Newbin. I really like Kinchins. I mean, again, like it's hard to get excited about a guy who has like a sub 3 RAS. Like you can start to get excited about him, and then that number just kind of nags at the back of your brain. Like, come on, really? You're going to be excited about this? But hey, some low RAS guys have popped off and been fantastic NFL players, so there is hope. But I think Kinchins is a little bit more my style than Newbin, but they're both pretty good. Zach says you get 2%.
Yes, I'll take it.
2% of $1 billion is still a lot.
Yeah, I think the take home was like 400 million.
Uncle Sam's like, yes, win that lottery.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Nick says the safety from Oklahoma State is a beast.
$8 million. Suck it.
He meant Oregon State.
Pretty sure he meant Oregon State.
He did because it's in the next. Yeah, it's in the next.
Oh, look at this! Actually, the only person who still has an Oladapo bio is Ryan. So I guess Ryan won the Oladapo.
Officially my guy.
That's fine.
Last man standing.
Ironic.
That's fine. Makes sense.
I think we would all be thrilled with Oladapo. I mean, Jake, at what pick in the draft that the Packers own would you be disappointed if it was Oladapo?
Would I be disappointed?
Yeah, like if they took Oladapo at 25.
58 or higher, probably.
Yeah.
After that, yeah, I'm not concerned where he gets picked. I just think the safety room, it's hard to now, like with any of the safeties in this class almost. I guess depending on where you want to play them, where I'd be like, oh yeah, you need to take one of these guys in the top 2 rounds. Like you need to do it. So And then we have the Kinchins-Newman situation of like Green Bay's probably not going there.
I've been coming around on the idea that this draft is so stinking deep at wide receiver and offensive line and defensive line, maybe at corner too, that like those are the positions you gotta hammer multiple times this year. Just like, yeah, I know it'd be nice to grab a running back, and yeah, we are in kind of a dire state of need at safety and linebacker, but like those are not the great rooms in this draft. So if we just hammered offensive line and wide receiver all day long, I'm not sure where we play those guys because we have a lot of wide receivers.
I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that. I'm definitely clipping that. Hammer wide receiver a lot.
Yep. Give me a lot of wide receivers
in this class.
But like, how mad could you be though? Because like, some of them are really good.
I would be kind of ticked if they took 3 wide receivers in this draft. Let's be clear.
I would mean 9 wide receivers in 3 years.
Yeah, I would be, to be very clear, I'm not on board with that. I am on board with if Goody goes like, I got FOMO, this guy's really good, best player available on our board at whatever, 58, 88, 91, just be like, yeah, sure, we're going to do this. Like, because we need this type of player. We want insurance at this type of at this receiver type. Like, sure, absolutely.
So 3 receivers is too many.
Yeah, it's too
1 is okay. What about 2?
Let's just really hone in on it.
Could you,
what 2 are we talking?
You got
sell me on a pair.
You got a guy in round 2 and a guy in round 4.
Oh, if that can be Baker and McMillan, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I was picturing Baker as the round 2 guy.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So you could live with it if it was 2. But what if they got a third and that third was Malik Neighbors? Then could you live with it?
Wait.
What about 2.5?
How are we getting Malik Neighbors? How are we
now? What would be the best way to get?
No. This is. I need you to paint this scenario. How do we get Malik Neighbors and then also 2 more wide receivers? We're running out of picks for like anything else because you're gonna have to move up a long.
He wants to know because he really wants it to happen. He just wants you to actually sell him on it.
Yeah, sell me on this.
We could trade
the 2025 draft in its entirety, like it
What
does.
if we traded Royce Newman? I don't know. Maybe that gets us there.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Dude, the mullet's got to be worth something.
Well, that's a different question, perhaps.
Nicki Minaj. I can't pin you on the thing until you change your picture. But Nicki Minaj wants to know who is the dream first round pick for Green Bay. I'm just going to answer for Jake. It's Malik Neighbors. Moving on to Ryan. What's your answer, Ryan?
The dream would be, I don't know, man. I'm starting to come around to Kool-Aid a little bit. If we're talking realistic picks, although it's becoming less realistic. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning Kool-Aid right now.
It has to be realistic, so I have to pick someone else.
I've been seeing a lot of mocks recently where Latu drops down to 25, which feels absurd to me. But if that happened, I mean, I would be a happy camper. Last year, we got the guy who I thought was the best edge in the class in Lucas Van Ness. And I didn't think there was any chance he'd be there at 12. I was obviously wrong.
I think Latu's going to be on the board and available at 25.
You think he's going to be available at 26?
Yeah, no, I think
yes. The Packers won't be the one to take him off the board.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he'll be available at 25. Tampa Bay might take him at 26, or then Detroit gets, a funny idea and says, let's pair Latu with Hutchinson, potentially. So
just painting my hell. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. We gotta get all this disappointment out.
So here's the question, though.
We have that expectation.
Because this is how it usually goes. There's somebody that we all want that's sitting there. We don't take them, but instead take this person that really disappoints us, and then the guy goes one pick later. But who's the guy that we pick?
Oh,
that's like, oh, come on, man.
Well, someone posted this earlier. I think it was. Oh shoot,
It's tough because the last few years,
Sam posted this earlier from Acme Packing. Goes, the Packers' first pick will be an O lineman who experts have graded as a third rounder at best. He'll be starting all 5 spots over the course of his 12-year career to make the Packers Hall of Fame. It was a struggle to figure out who that was in terms of like, because some people were telling me like, no, it's Barton, right? It's like, well, no, Barton's like consensus top 40. Like a lot of people say you should be picking him in the first round. So I'm not sure he fits that.
I was going to say Patrick Paul. Yeah,
that's an interesting one. I think it's Kingsley Suamataia is I think who it would be. 21 years old,
so
played left and right tackle, and has kicked into guard down in Mobile. So the potential for position deal
makes sense.
We're working on there.
The reason I ruled him out is because you said third round, and he's consensus 43 right now. So I was looking for somebody who's like even deeper than that. And I wanted to say Christian Haynes, but then I thought, no, the Packers would take a guy who played tackle in college.
Right. That's, yeah.
So that kind of left me with Patrick Paul and Amagaji.
If Amagaji, that's very possible. The thing with Patrick Paul is like, for some of the guys, we're stretching it, right? Like you look at a lot of people like Cooper Beebe, right? He's at like 322 pounds. You look at Suamataia, he's like 326. So it's like stretching it a little in terms of size where Green Bay has gone. I think Paul's at like 333, which is pretty hefty numbers wise for them, because he was listed the entire time like at Houston. Brian was talking a lot about him. It's like this is the fit because he was like 6'6" and like Houston listed him at like 315, and it was like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. And then he came in at like 330 at the Senior Bowl. But Amagaji's that could be one.
I feel like I wouldn't be massively upset about it though. Like deep in my soul, that one wouldn't sting. That's where I feel like that's not going to be the pick.
Which one, Amagaji or?
Yeah, either way. Like if they took a tackle, it'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you think you're on the side of like Bakhtiari's gone. Like, do you believe in Rasheed Walker? You can believe in Rasheed Walker, but also realize that who knows, could be a flash in the pan of 8 games.
Right.
And you're building insurance because the guys behind Walker and Tom have not played, right? Like other than in preseason. So yeah, I'm with you.
I think we're a little bit in denial here though. Because or not denial. What's the bargaining stage of grief? That's the stage we're in right now, right? Where we're like, oh, but if you went with offensive line, then I could live with it. Completely ignoring it's going to be like a corner or something. Like that's the direction
that's what I was looking at.
That's totally
because it's probably going to be a premier position, although it doesn't have to be. But I was thinking corner kind of makes sense and it's not going to be like Max Melton, who a lot of people like. It'll probably be like TJ Tampa or something.
Will. Yep, Tampa's exactly the name.
Wait a minute.
Yep, consensus.
I know who it is. It's Cam Hart
at 25.
Cam Hart
at 25.
Cam Hart currently consensus 93, but he has been rising. Very athletic, not very good college production metrics, but hits like every physical thing that the Packers typically shoot for. And as of a month before the draft, he's like consensus third round here, end of the third round. I mean, this is the guy.
And I'll be honest, Max Melton isn't terrible either from the same criteria. I mean, as far as RAS goes, he was the 4th highest. Yeah. He's been rising a lot since early March. Even now, that's at 60. I think he's a little higher than that, but I think he kind of fits that mold. Where's TJ Tampa on here?
He's on the
TJ Tampa is at 59
at the combine.
Oh, at the combine. I don't know. Did he test?
I don't know if he did. I don't see him. If he did,
does not have an RAS.
Okay, good. I was going to say it must be really bad. I don't see it. There he is. Yeah, he just height and weight is all it was.
I need more ages for these guys because, like, I don't know how old Cam Hart is. I don't know how old
Max Cam Hart was. at the Senior Bowl and was not listed as one of the juniors.
There you go, Donald.
That much I do know. JJ, so I think he's at least 22. Cam Hart.
Cam Hart's 22 at least.
I believe so because he wasn't because I remember when they put out like stuff for the Senior Bowl and they're like, oh, look at these juniors going down, and they were talking about Kinchins. There were a few others that they mentioned on the list, and Hart was not one of those. So I imagine he's at the very least in his 4th year playing.
I think that 608 RAS is going to keep us safe from Kamari Lassiter.
They also might not think he's big enough, right?
He's like 5'11", 186 pounds.
Oh, 186? That's enough. That's probably doable. Yeah. We should have measurements on Tampa, no? Tampa's 6'0" and 7/8, 189. Yeah, that'll work.
I think probably the dream for me would be Chop Robinson, but I also don't really think he's going to be there at 25. He might be, but I just
the dream that's realistic. Is Fuatanu realistic enough? Do you think?
I think so.
From Washington.
As long as you don't talk to Brian Maffey, the answer is yes. Brian Maffey is adamant that they're not going to take an offensive lineman in the first round. So don't say that to him.
I feel like the Packers are starting to get this like late round hubris at offensive line, and that concerns me. That bothers me to no end. Like,
I feel like
just can get one later because we're so good at it.
Fans say that all the time. It drives me nuts. Like, why would you bother? We can get him in the 6th round. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't even
look
know
at
how
our
to
7 misses. Look at our 2 hits.
Right.
Well, I'm getting nervous because, like, we only have 2 out of our 5 offensive linemen right now that you don't really feel like, man, I'd like to upgrade. Yeah. Like, we don't really have a right guard. Nobody likes our center. And, we appreciate Rasheed Walker, but I think almost everybody would like him to be the swing tackle instead of the full-time starting left tackle.
Listen, and if he goes out and dominates as the left tackle, great. Still need a swing tackle then, right? Like, would love to have somebody who can be that.
And we're all kind of coming into this year with finger crossed that, like, 2023 was a massive fluke year for Elton Jenkins.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Right. So you're like between 60 to 80% of your offensive line is like terrifying right now. So
a little bit.
So yeah, the late round hubris thing, scary.
I hate that. I despise it. It's just going, oh yeah, it's just got those, those just vibes of like, you have become, this drafting thing is easy. We got it covered. We can't miss back here. It's like, okay. Goody's like showing you like this really nice little board here of like, it's like, oh, Goody's like, I decorated my hallway in the front of my house. Stay here. That's like 22 and 23, right? And he's like, oh no, don't look at 21. Don't go to the back of my house. It's a mess back there. Don't look over there, right? And so that's my concern, I think, is the biggest thing, where it's just like, oh yeah, if there's a good tackle, we don't have to worry about it. We'll get this guy in day 3 who maybe can start. And it's like, okay, don't be doing that. So yeah,
I'm hoping that's just a fan narrative and not actually Gutekunst just strutting around like, take those freaking tackles off the board in the first couple rounds. You bunch of, like, you think I can't do it? Shut up.
I mean,
or it's
just 2021
Saturday, right? He walks in there on Saturday. It's like, all right, baby, time to draft old linemen.
Yeah,
right? Like, it's time. Watch us be dominant on day 3, baby.
He has a separate offensive line board that he doesn't allow in the room until day 3.
It's like, how many of these guys are left?
Yep.
I'm not super nervous because in 2021 he took a 2nd round center, and in 2022 he took a 3rd round guard. And then 2023 was like one of the worst offensive line classes we've ever seen. So I was kind of relieved he didn't take an offensive lineman. So, fingers crossed.
It's pretty loaded this year too. When I was looking, I just did a mock today and is like, holy crap, the amount of offensive line that ended up going, especially when you look at how many teams at the back half are looking at offensive linemen. It's like, I really think, I didn't count them, but there are a lot of offensive linemen that are going to go in the draft. And at the front end, which also too, and I don't know, and maybe you guys can speak to it, how good the depth is. Because if it's super front loaded and not the greatest as far as depth, then I definitely think the Packers are going to be looking to go pretty heavy, at least in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think.
Well, there are at least 15 offensive linemen in this class that I will just straight up say I absolutely love.
Yep.
There are definitely players on like day 3 that are like way down the consensus boards, even even on PFF's board as well, where I'm like, yeah, I'll take this guy. Like, absolutely. Like, I think a really good one to look at, I put him in the mock I did today, was Delmar Glaze from Maryland.
Yeah.
Tackle, guard. Like, if you look at like game by game grades from 23, had some pretty good games against some of the better teams Maryland played all year. And so like you look at that and you go, okay, sweet. Like this guy late, like everybody likes Bortolini now, right? I do think there are, and Sundell from North Dakota State, everybody's weighing on him at this point.
You want a hot take?
Played center, right? So like there's, I
got a hot take for you.
Goody might do a little strutting on day 3. I don't know. It's just possible.
I think Bortolini is going on in the second round.
Wouldn't be super surprised.
Interesting.
I mean, maybe we're just overhyping the athleticism, but he hit all the right metrics. Yeah. I wouldn't be massively surprised.
Yeah, there are always going to be those like round 2 surprises that like the NFL really likes, and we're not totally privy to it.
Yeah.
I know Brugler's been all over this, I feel like, for a while. Like Dominic Pooney from Kansas has always been like firmly in the second round of his mocks. And usually when you're going through the simulator, you're getting him in round 3, like no problem.
Yeah.
In the 90s. So they're very well could be guys just that it's like, oh, there's just a lot of offensive linemen. How do we, fit all these guys into our mock drafts? And the NFL's like, forget about your mock drafts. We need offensive line. We're going to be taking a lot in the first like 2.5 rounds of this draft.
So, there are 47 offensive linemen in the top 250 players on mockdraftdatabase.com, which is absurd.
That's a lot.
And then I'm looking at guys, there's only like 250-ish players getting drafted.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at guys like Matthew Jones at Ohio State, currently consensus 301. That dude definitely would have been drafted last year if he was in that class. No doubt about it. He would have been like no worse than a 6th round pick last year.
Oh, 301. Yeah. The guy right next to him, Sundell, 302, like has played really good ball at center and left tackle for North Dakota State.
87.6 pass blocking grade for Sundell. Holy cow.
It's like there's no way this guy's he's going undrafted. There's no chance. Like teams
3%
were willing to
pressure
swing
rate
it
allowed at center. Man, Matthew Jones only allowed 1% pressure rate at right guard. That's on 752 snaps. I'm not saying I want him because I don't. He's a smart guy, but
yeah,
that's still an impressive number.
It's loaded. It is loaded.
So
too old for this.
I think it's a good year to need offensive linemen. I think we should take a good 3+ swings at offensive line in this draft. I mean, we got 11 picks. Yeah. You can take 4 offensive linemen and still have a full draft class worth of picks to go play with. I mean,
absolutely.
And we need offensive line help bad, especially on the interior. Especially everywhere. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially everywhere.
No position is safe. That's the mentality I want Goody to have right now.
I think he does for the most part.
Which I think he'll take advantage. He's not an idiot.
I mean,
this draft is.
Right? I do think when you look at it and say, Gutekunst likes to capitalize where the draft is strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think offensive line fits the bill. I mean, you could say corner too, and is pretty strong, especially early on. But, I mean, I don't know that it would be. I mean, we're not just speculating that we need it, so we're going to take it. I think it makes sense. Offensive line is a critical part of the offense. We don't have it. It's super strong there, really talented. I think it just all intersects pretty well for offensive line.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to just like be the guy who harps about wide receiver because I like our wide receivers. I'm not saying that we need to add more because I don't like them. I just really like this class, and like I want a piece of all these nice wide receivers that are available. That's what it is for me. You know,
massive FOMO going on right now. Everybody's like,
absolutely
look at all
FOMO.
these receivers that fit us. I'm like, I want one of them.
I'm not even like looking at our room and saying like, oh, hey, there's some specific skill set that we don't have. Like, no, that's not it at all. It's just
like, yeah, it's just like getting geeked out of the fact that their Packer scouts are talking to Burton at the Alabama Pro Day. It's like, heck yeah, man. Yes. Just, yeah. Give me all that. Give me all of that.
Rich Streeter is asking about Wisconsin's long snapper. Is it Peter Bowden or Peter Bowden? I'm not sure how you say his name. Jake, do you know anything about this human being, Peter?
Let's see. He's been a Patrick McNally Award finalist, I think, twice.
He's got a RAS of 7. He had a long snapping grade of 65.8.
Academic All Big Ten.
Sounds like we need him.
Yeah.
So there's. I'm just gonna put my screen up here for a second.
O-line, linebacker, DBs, throw a receiver in there, right? Potentially defensive tackle. Like, I get it. Long snapper. People are concerned about it. I'm concerned about it. Might not have to draft one, though. There's
like not very many kickers this year and not many punters this year. And there's like a bajillion guys who could theoretically come play long snapper.
There you go.
I think it's funny of more long snappers than kickers and punters combined in this class.
There's one long snapper converting from linebacker this year, and I don't remember who it is. Like he has not played it. He played 5 years of linebacker and is now listed as a long snapper. So like, hey, sure. Dude got out of there. He's like, man, I can't hip drop tackle anymore. I'm out. I'm playing long snapper. Forget this.
So looking at Mr. Peter Bowden, he is one of only 5 long snappers to be listed on NFL Mock Draft Database. I do find it not super exciting that he's got like the 6th lowest PFF grades out of all like 20 of these guys.
Yeah, it's not.
He's one of only 2 guys with a negative field goal and extra point team.
Oh, we can't be having that.
He's one of only 2 guys. I mean, it kind of makes him perfect for the Packers. Like,
no, I know, but we can't be doing that.
I will say I don't want to draft a long snapper, but if you want to bring in like 15 long snappers as undrafted free agents and let them all fight to the death, I'm here for it.
Call 7 of them right when everything opens. Yeah. So down.
Just sign every long snapper in undrafted free agency.
And then also don't report on them on the signings. It's like everybody goes to camp, at training camp in July, and they're like, holy crap, there's 8 long snappers here. What's going on? Like that would be really fun.
Or just take all the failed linebackers and tight ends and just be like, hey, you want to try to snap the ball between your legs, see how it goes?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I mean, you know they're gonna get a different long snapper this year. Because we've had a different one every year.
Oh yes. Goody.
Bringing back the jokes.
Oh man, that's really good. This is a great shout. This last comment. Pack our long snapper room like the me lobby. That's so funny. Look, line up, everybody line up by color of t-shirt. We're going through 23 of you, okay? Oh yeah. Enough to field 2 baseball teams when you're playing Wii baseball.
At Bagged Hay on Twitter wants to know, why does everyone think we're taking a tackle? Because we need tackles.
Yeah, I think we pretty well covered it. Even if you think we don't necessarily need it, the Packers are not going to say, I kind of like the guys that we have, so just cross it off. We're not drafting one. That doesn't make any sense. It's a deep class. It's a talented group. It's a high position of need. We have zero depth. We don't know if Rasheed Walker is anything above meh. So those are just a few reasons, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have Rasheed Walker, who is not going to like blatantly lose you a game. Okay, I think we can aim a little bit higher than that. Like, happy to keep him around. Glad he's here. We can do better.
Yeah, can we at least acknowledge there's a gap between Rasheed Walker and what David Bakhtiari was at his peak?
Hopefully we can.
Hopefully we can acknowledge there's a massive gap there.
Yeah.
There's a few players who you just can't challenge the social media opinion of at the moment right now. And one would be that like David Bakhtiari has been crap for the last like 3 years.
It's not what that's not that
There's just a lot of
injured and crap are not the same thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
He hasn't played.
Like, yeah, and that's I think the biggest thing. Like just I think why do people want, and it's maybe not even like think, it's like why do people want like tackle in round one? It's like, okay, I'm gonna give you a really nice example. The Jets. Do you want to be them even anywhere near where they're at right now, having to trade for and sign two 33-year-old tackles who have both been hurt, right? Like I think Tyron Smith's played 13 games at the most over the last 4 years. Don't get yourself into that position. The Giants, it was horrendous last year. It was absolutely horrendous. Like Evan Neal has not panned out, right? Schmitz had a tough year as a rookie. Like Andrew Thomas is like sitting over there at left tackle, like, what's this nonsense next to me? Like, you can't put yourself in that situation. Don't let that even be a possibility. That's
and
why.
it's great. Like, if you've done this enough, like with the mock drafts or anything else, or just follow the NFL, this is very common. Teams that don't have an offensive line, and for years, I mean, how long do we have to talk about the Bengals need to protect Joe Burrow?
Yeah,
how long did the Vikings for probably 5, 6, Seattle? It felt like a decade. They don't have an offensive line. They keep swinging. They can't get it. The Jets, like, it's just these teams, they get stuck, and they just cannot rebuild it. Dallas had a great offensive line. They let it collapse to zero, and it just, like, it feels like teams have offensive lines for a brief period and lose it. Packers are one of the few teams that just seems like they always have a good offensive line, and maybe Packer fans take it for granted. But it's really hard to have and maintain a very good offensive line. And if you have an opportunity to take a like blue chip or really good tackle, I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
And I think the other thing, Philly 2 years ago goes, yeah, we don't know when Kelsey's going to hang it up. We're taking Cam Jurgens the second round. We don't care if this is early. We're making sure we got the replacement ready to roll. I have to imagine they'll be thinking the exact same thing about Lane Johnson, who has talked about retirement for a couple seasons as well. In a tackle-rich class like this, if they took a tackle at 22, I don't think anybody would be surprised. I don't think their fan base would be either. Yeah. Right? Like, would it surprise you if the Lions went and took offensive line in the first round? They lost Jonah Jackson. They're trying to like piecemeal stuff. Ragnall's been hurt a bunch, right? Like, I don't think Detroit's going to mess around either. So I don't think.
You don't think that Detroit's going to mess around and take a running back and an off-ball linebacker in the first round? Doesn't sound like them at all.
I mean, Gibbs was better than Bijan in year one. But the linebacker thing,
that wasn't the question.
It's not the point. This is the whole thing with the Jahmyr Gibbs thing. I live in Michigan. I have Lions fans talking my ear off every day of my life. I've never once said, hey, you shouldn't draft Jahmyr Gibbs because he sucks at football. The point is you walk into the dealership with $1 million.
I know.
And I walk into a dealership with $1 million, and we walk out, and I'm driving a Lambo, and you're driving a Corolla, all right? And the question is not, hey, does the Corolla suck? It's, hey, what could you have gotten for that $1 million instead of a Corolla?
That's about it.
Yeah.
No, I've told that.
And you both spent the $1 million. It's not like you walked out and saved it and went and invested it. You spend $1 million on what?
Yeah.
And that's what draft picks are. I mean, when you get a pick 25, it has a value. You want to maximize, like it's 10 grand. There are $15,000 cars sitting there. You can get it with 10 grand, or you can get a $5,000 car. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to take swings at linebacker, I don't. We don't need to get into that. That annoyed the living crap out of me. Just the bravado of it. Like if you're a team that like went to the Super Bowl and you've got everything, like the Chiefs when they got, which was a disaster by the way, but they went and got a running back in the first round. I don't mind. You just want to stack a little bit of talent. You're the Lions and still haven't been to the playoffs, and you got the bravado to go running back and linebacker. Screw you, dude.
Yeah, not to mention the Chiefs are like literally just been vibing in the first round for like 5 years now.
It's
like,
funny.
I don't know who we're taking. Take the local kid from Kansas State, man.
He's
near here.
A mock for tomorrow, and I talked about that, and I was like, man, they need a tackle, and they probably will, but I feel like they're going to take a wide receiver because that's just what they do. They're just like, bro, let's just stack some wide receivers, bro. I don't even care.
Chiefs are going. You know what? How far can we move up to get Bowers? That far? Okay, sure. Yeah, let's
do it, man.
Like they're like, who cares?
Adam, get your screenshot in because I'm going to take this off the screen in a minute.
There you go. Oh, Dominic Pooney, it's 91 pass block.
Actually,
send him over.
Jake might not let me take this off the screen now.
Who else? Let me see. We need the big net difference here between pass and run block. That would be Kingsley Suamataia from BYU.
Run block.
Fotanu's great shape. 31 difference for Suam. And then where's Rosengarten's like 26. Then that difference.
Here, real quick. I can
yes, please.
Wait a minute. Whoops.
How much net gain from pass block and run block is there this class by player?
Do this and
amazing. While JJ's
now you can kind of see that breakdown a little bit better.
Yeah.
We got a lot of questions here in the chat from like at least 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
Talking about how to shuffle the offensive line around, and everybody wants to try everybody at right guard. Walker at right guard, Myers at right guard, Walker at right tackle, and Tom to guard. I will say my dream has always been to move Zach Tom to either left guard or left tackle. I would like Zach Tom to be the franchise left tackle. Like he's been playing good at right tackle. I just feel like the left side of the line is more of a natural fit for what he can do. So I just would like to do that.
That is also another thing as far as tackle, because if we get into a situation where Rasheed Walker is actually an elite tackle and we draft a guy who is an elite tackle, like, oh shucks, I guess Zach Tom's playing guard. Like, freaking, like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
As far as can Josh Myers play right guard, I have no idea. He's never done it. He's basically always been a center. So can he do it? No idea. But he also doesn't seem to be able to play center. So
that is the problem. Normally, I don't love flipping guys to the other side unless they've shown me they can do it. Because Bakhtiari's talked about like flipping sides. It's not the same for everybody, right? But at the same time,
I mean, look how much Elton Jenkins struggled when we stuck him at right tackle. I mean, granted, he was like freaking hobbling around on one leg and a knee.
Yeah. And so, like, I think the biggest thing for me in that regard is, and again, it maybe Rasheed Walker can play right guard, is I believe he hasn't played anything else, right? He's played two snaps at left guard. He's played 29 at right tackle. That was in college. And, if he's comfortable position, I would leave him there. Especially if it's tackle. I know Zach Tom thing, I'm fine with JJ. I'm totally on board with you saying like I wish Zach Tom was, if he was back to left tackle because he'd be the franchise left tackle. Yeah, absolutely. He has proven he can play there at a high level. Like
it
we
feels
know
like
he
they
can do
put him
that.
at right tackle just to get him starting. Like they had a need at right tackle. They had 4 guys who were already kind of locked in.
Yeah.
They put Zach Tom at right tackle and then just kind of set it and forget it. And I still feel like it's a weird fit for him. Like he's doing a great job at right tackle, but it's of all the spots on the line, right tackle would have been the lowest on the list for me of where I would have been like, hey, let's try and play him there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, he's like settled in a right tackle. So it's like, do you want to move him again? Where he's kind of like settled in and become a really strong player.
Yeah.
That's part of the equation too. But I do think, again, it's I don't think there's any problem in looking for like, oh, this guy's played a lot more left tackle at this point. Because if you're leaving Tom over there, you're not sold on Walker. Like guys played left tackle, perfect. Like you're at least giving Walker some competition. Like that's. I just don't know if there's nothing that tells me that Walker can move over. Obviously, there's nothing that's telling you can't, but there's it's definitely more often than not guys are like uncomfortable flipping sides. Like there are very few that you go, oh, yeah, he could play either side. Like Tristan Wirfs, probably one of the few. So
I want to address Justin's thing real quick here. So he says, first of all, he said, other teams bust on draft picks every day. Going back to the Lions thing. A hit at a less valued position is better than a miss at a high valued position. Also, that running back tight end combo worked pretty well for them. They don't have any cornerbacks right now. None. And they can't get their hands on any. And they are in a position now this year where they have to draft corners because they just don't have anybody who can play corner. And they passed on some. Everybody thought they were taking corners last year, and they didn't. And hitting on positions that are easy to hit on, like running back with high draft picks, does not make you a good GM.
Yeah, and to go back to the first comment, to go back to the first comment too, nothing is guaranteed. So yeah, I mean, if you could promise me that we're going to get a running back that's a stud, or you're either going to miss or we don't know at this point. All right, fine, I guess give me the guarantee. But the comment doesn't really mean anything because we don't know who's going to be a hit and who's going to be a miss. If you swing at a running back and miss, you're a double idiot. Which at linebacker, he did not have a good year last year.
No, he didn't.
They swung at linebacker. He is terrible. I just, when I looked at the NFC North, I think he was the worst in the NFC North. I don't know how bad it gets across the NFL, but you swung early on a linebacker, and he's kind of seen as like a throwback linebacker, which in and of itself is not great because it's not even a modern linebacker, and he was bad at football. Yeah. So, a miss is a miss either way. If you're going to swing and probably miss, swing for the fences, swing for a corner, which they need, swing for an edge. They need another guy across from their edge. Go get a defensive tackle. Go get, like you said, offensive line is starting to fall apart. They got a center and a right tackle, and aside from that, there's not a lot of long-term future locked up on that offensive line. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff they need, and it's nice that they got a running back, but I mean, how much is that running back actually helping them compared to like what they had the year prior?
Yeah,
not very much. And there's a lot of and you mentioned JJ, it's an easier position to hit as opposed to miss. That's true. It's also true in the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, the 6th round. So go get a running back in the 6th that can run the ball and swing on the positions that you can't usually hit in the 6th round, like corner or tackle or something like that. So I would agree with you if anything was a guarantee, but even the fact that running backs in the 1st round usually hit, I don't care. Because I don't want that, and there are positions that are very hard to get that you're only really going to get early, and those are the ones I'm going to swing here. I'll worry about running back somewhere. I'll get them in free agency. You can get them a dime a dozen in free agency. I'm not going to screw around in the draft in the 1st round taking running backs.
Yeah.
And by the way, you mentioned
back
tight
to
end
surplus value, right? Like that's the biggest thing. It's like, oh, hey, we can have this corner who's going to be worth $28 million in like 5 years. We can have him under contract for like $1, $2, $3 million dollars.
That's another big factor.
Contract, right? And so like when you get I don't know, Christian Gonzalez that's available to you, right? I know he got hurt for New England through 3 games. It was pretty good. And then Joey Porter Jr., same thing. Like Pittsburgh gets him at 33. Like that was huge. Like they get him for even less, than first round corner, right? Like you can get any.
Hang on, we can't
chances to get those two, right?
We can't bring up Joey Porter Jr. without mentioning that they drafted him with the Chase Claypool pick from the Bears. Just have to.
There you go.
Obligatory.
But yeah, and to elaborate on what you were saying though, Jake, you could pay a corner early really low, or you pay a running back there, and you're paying him a ton of money for a running back right out of the gate. I don't know what he's getting paid, but you're already paying him top of market. So you're not even saving money on a running back. So that too is you're screwing yourself where he has to hit, and even if he does, you're paying him like a stud anyways right out of the gate. So just for a lot of reasons, I hate that so much.
So Derrick Henry's getting like $8 million this year, right?
Yeah,
I think from Baltimore. Bijan in year 4 will be making $6.9 million for the Falcons. That's pre a second contract.
Right.
Like that. It's in his 4th year. He's making $6.9 million.
Yeah.
Gibbs will be making 5
near like decent, that's getting close to decent money, right? Like I mean, Terrell I believe this will be his final year, with Atlanta. It's $12.3 million for AJ Terrell in his 5th year.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Right.
It's a no-brainer when they hit. Like it's probably about what Gonzalez will be making in his 5th year. If the Patriots eventually, pick up his number, like pick up his 5th year, like it'll be around that number.
And you mentioned tight end in this message. Sam Laporta was taken at the proper place where he was good value. And you took the best tight end in the 2nd round where it's good value. And that has moved the needle a ton. You will not hear me criticize the decision to take Sam Laporta. That was fantastic. And he was a freaking stud. And I hate that he's in the NFC North. The linebacker and the running back in the 1st round, those were not good value. And I am thrilled that the Lions had so much draft capital.
Right.
All they came away with was a linebacker and a running back. I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying, Ryan was talking about the linebacker sucked. Whatever. I'm not even saying about like the quality of the running back and the linebacker. I'm just saying, hey, if you max out the very best that the running back and the linebacker could be versus the very best that they could have gotten with those same picks, I mean, this is best case scenario for Packers fans, is that the Lions walked away with just a off-ball linebacker and a running back.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine, just take corner and running back, and imagine in scenario A, best running back in the NFL or best cornerback in the NFL, which one sucks the most as a Packer fan? It's not even close. If they have a lockdown, shutdown corner in Detroit compared to how many good running backs have we seen in the NFC North? A billion.
Oh
Minnesota, when they had Adrian Peterson. Detroit's had a couple. Chicago has a ton. Matt Forte back in the... we've seen so many good runs. It doesn't mean anything. They never do anything. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. It's not about you and your... I'm just going off on Detroit now. I'm not trying to pile on you or anything.
Yeah, it's just it's the surplus value thing for sure.
We have another question on X about the linebackers. This comes from Chris Jacomit, and he just wants a breakdown of where we see Sam and Will on this roster for this year. So he says, outside of Quay, he thinks McDuffie is a replacement level guy. Could we ask a guy like Preston or Gary to play off ball? Are they athletic enough for it? What do we think about where the guys that we currently have do end up playing for Chris?
I want the edge rushers going forward, not backward, I think is the biggest thing. If you asked maybe Brenton Cox to try and play Sam, maybe then you have my attention potentially.
What's the objection to Quay at Mike? because nobody seems interested in
processing skill set at the moment. I think is the biggest thing. I love what he sees when he's dropping back into coverage right now over what he's seeing in terms of like, this is my gap, I need to get here, and not falling for like the motion pre-snap motion eye candy stuff a decent bit of the time that teams throw Green Bay's way with their offenses.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because you want your first round guy to be that main guy, but at the same time, I think if you want to maximize skill set, you probably put him as your Sam backer. Would be my guess.
Yeah, like maybe Adam.
I'm still not 100% out on the possibility that we get some Preston at Sam. I don't think that's anybody's first choice, including Green Bay's. But you can only take what the draft gives you.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of great linebackers out there to sign. So, Goody was talking. I don't even know where he was today, but he was talking to the press today somewhere, and he specifically mentioned that re-signing Eric Wilson and Christian Welch has made him feel better about where the linebacker room is at. So I can only imagine how much he was panicking prior to signing those two guys. And I'm a little bit panicking that we're considering playing them on defense.
I feel like that's a Gutekunst comment. Just never let him see you sweat kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, we're solid, man. Like it's no big deal.
Like Christian Welch, what are you talking about?
But in the meantime, he's laying awake at night, like just crying. I don't know what to do.
He's got that mask on, that meme with like the mask.
Yeah, exactly. That's Gutekunst.
Yeah.
He's always Mr.
Wait,
cool about everything.
We need linebacker?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. We
I
got
didn't
great
know that.
linebackers.
Let me check on that. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. I've literally never heard anyone say that to me before. You're sounding like an idiot.
You know, I talked to Jeff Halfley, and he did not mention linebacker as part of the scheme. So I'm thinking, and we got Quay, we got McDuffie, we got Christian Welch. What more do you want?
No.
I can re-sign Matt Orzek. He can come play linebacker for us.
An option, for sure.
Goody still did say it's a 4-2-5. I mean, maybe he doesn't care enough about a third linebacker. Maybe he just thinks they're going to be a nickel 1,000% of the time. And he was talking about – that's the other thing is he was talking about how the locking up Keyshawn makes him feel better about the defense too. So I think when we look at things on the defensive side of the ball and we get a little bit of heartburn about nickel and your third linebacker – and probably your second safety. I mean, I think that's exactly where Goody's at. I think he'd like to add some stuff there. I mean, here's the thing. You can't play a 4-2-5 with only one safety. So he's got to add another safety somewhere.
Here's the thing. Keyshawn Nixon, love ya, awesome returner. A 4-2-5 with Cooper DeJean in the slot basically means you have three linebackers on the field. Just saying. Basically
Talking
means that's
now.
the case. Yeah, that's right. We're almost to an hour. It's time.
We haven't talked about DeJean. We're closing in on the hour.
Like that's the dream. I know everybody. Yeah. I'm not gonna not listen. I'm not gonna ignore arguments for him to play outside corner. I'm not. I understand that. Plenty of speed, plenty of size to play out there. But my goodness, thinking about like DeJean being like, oh, hey, by the way, you can just kind of be our Kyle Hamilton, play some nickel, be just dominant there, move back to safety if you'd like to, or just, go out to outside corner and be even more than what we thought, some other guys could do in the secondary. Like that would make the 4-2-5 feel really comfy. So it's like, oh yeah, we just got this guy who can fill from the nickel and just tackle super well. Like, no, we have got no problems here. He's our Mike actually in nickel. Did you not
that
know?
answers that question. There's your Mike.
Have you not heard?
Rob said that Goody literally said nothing for 25 minutes straight. It was impressive. That is factually true. I transcribed the interview, and there were like about once a minute I would have to stop and look at it and go, that can't be what the audio was because that's not a sentence. And I go play it.
Word
I'm
for
trying to
word.
remember some of the stuff he said. There was one point where he said, like, we feel really good about all the stuff that Jordan Love, you know, the way that the organization, anyways, like that was
like the translation. The negotiations are not going the way I thought they would go.
Yeah,
but we'll get there.
well,
So
being a little douche about it, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's you're not gonna get it's really hard to get GMs to talk right now. Like,
yeah.
And even at the combine, most of them are just kind of not saying a whole lot up there.
It's too bad because 1 year ago we had some delicious comments at the owners meeting with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. Gutekunst was just he couldn't control himself. Like Mr. Never let him see you sweat, or don't let him see. He was letting everybody see, man. He couldn't stop smiling.
Like he was like, it'd be great if we could call us.
Yeah,
if you could get him on the phone, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I love. At some point in the past year, one of the media members was trying to get Goody to admit that he's like enjoying all the receipts that he can pull right now.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't.
Yeah.
That's not really what it's about. I'm just trying to win Super Bowls here. I don't pay attention to what all the idiots say when they're, bad mouthing what a great job I do.
There was a scene where is too old for this in here. There was a scene in The Office that makes me think of where Michael Scott, they get a call. They call Michael to come help him with a sales call because that like super male model guy is there, and he's all excited and giddy about it. And they're like, "You seem super excited." And he's like, "No, I don't have time for this." Like trying to pretend he's not excited, and he's just like giggling to himself.
Goody doing that about the receipts is just exactly what Seattle did last year after one season of Russ. Exactly. After one season of Russ in Denver. They're just kind of sitting there like, oh yeah, we're definitely rooting for Russ out there. It's great that he got a change of scenery while you're sitting there just with the grin, being like, man, we won that trade so good. Yeah. I love that. We got a quarterback for way less, playing a lot better than him. And we got all your draft picks. Are you enjoying yourself over there? Yeah, just very similar stuff.
All right, so I want that one. I'm trying to wrap this up so we can get out of here, and here we go. This is the picture I want to do.
Okay.
All right. As since we're talking about him, well, before we wrap this up, any final thoughts from you guys before I outro us here? Since we're at 1 hour.
No.
Yes. Yes, I do. Funny feeling that Green Bay takes one of the two defensive tackles at 25.
Oof.
Just because.
Defensive tackle?
You say one of the two.
Defensive tackles, yes. Newton and Murphy. I think.
You think Murphy's going to be there?
I kind of think so. Yeah.
Wow, that'd be amazing. I'd love
I think
that.
one of them will be.
Sure.
I don't know which one the league likes more. No preference whatsoever at all. I don't know which one I want more in Green Bay of the two. I've just there's no preference.
I do love
whatsoever. Sorry. But yeah, I do think one's gonna be there. I don't know. The DJ and everybody was super league likes Murphy top 15, like very early in the process. Usually that stuff is like more of like, I found stuff out from the GMs when they're not lying. So it's very possible Murphy has gone early, and it seems like the league doesn't like Newton a whole lot. And Goody just sitting there at 25, just strutting with sunglasses on, like, you guys let Newton fall here, you morons,
you bunch of idiots.
Thanks, guys, and like just strutting the whole way after the first round, just taking a guy like that. Like, I think it's very possible.
What if Murphy and Jerzon are both there, and Goody takes Darius Robinson?
That's the one I was trying to think who's going to be that guy that's going to make me cry, and that's the one he's going to take.
That's a tough one. Listen,
I like Darius, but I would still be sad if we took him over those two.
Yeah, same. I would be pretty upset, a little bit upset. Yeah. Also, Goody, if you're listening, Javon Baker, pretty good player. Just saying. See, there he is. He's listening. He knows.
There's the smirk.
He knows about Javon Baker.
Well, gents, thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you, chat. In the words of the late, great Brian Gutekunst, go Pack, go.